I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to back to the Lethal Venom podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, no lies told. Today, I'm joined by Miss Karen Robinson. She is a service-driven social worker, therapist, and coach with 24 years of clinical experience. She has received both her BSW and MSW from the University of Maine, where she is originally from. She is a genuine, authentic, compassionate provider. Her specialties are trauma recovery, anxiety, and depression. In her free time, you can catch her enjoying reading, writing, and spending time with her family. She and her daughter own the company Healed Thrive Dream, which includes a wide range of service and products for women recovering from trauma. They offer holistic therapy, coaching, virtual group coaching memberships, community service courses, planners, journals, books, inspirational products, and workbooks. They do a 1 hour, one-stop shop for women who are ready to fire their boss, as they offer touchless e-commerce agencies and a full-service digital agency to assist with websites, logos, social media management, SEO, and etc. And lastly, they teach survivors how to explore relationship and affiliate marketing, as several streams of revenue will set them up for the best chance of success in every aspect of their lives. So I want to give a huge welcome and huge shout out to Karen for joining the show today. Thank you so much for coming on. I cannot wait to hear your story.
Thank you, Noah, for hosting me today.
So, with that in mind, can you feel free to introduce yourself and just tell my listeners a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, thank you. It looks like I have not updated my bio in a minute on the site that you got it. So I've actually been a therapist for 27 years. And since I originally created that bio, I now host summits and retreats in my business. I also received my certification in energy healing, somatic healing, and I also have advanced certification in complex trauma. So I'm very well educated and certified at this point in my journey. My personal life, I am also a complex trauma survivor, and that's kind of what drew me into the field to begin with. I was a child that grew up in a dysfunctional family where there was poverty, child abuse, domestic violence. I did end up running away from home, and when I was taken in by my aunt and uncle, I then was really a great student and got a full ride to college and then got my master's in clinical social work. So that's me in a nutshell.
Tell me a little bit about how you kind of got more into being a trauma recovery expert. Was it something that you kind of from childhood was able to find easily to do, or has it been a little challenging due to your past struggles with trauma?
Yeah, really great question. When I ran away from home, I was assigned a case manager who was judgmental and unkind. What he said to me was, he goes, I bet well, he had already spoken to my family and had their perspective. But before asking me for my perspective or my side of the story, He accused me of doing drugs. He accused me of being promiscuous, and neither of those things were true. And even if they were true, that would not have excused his behavior. His role was to see what services I needed and provide, and that's not what happened. So I felt very alone at that point. And I remember saying to myself is, well, if I grow up and I'm in a helping profession, I'm going to make sure people feel heard, understood, and supported. So that was kind of in the back of my mind. Now, I knew I wanted to be a social worker. I didn't necessarily intend to be a trauma recovery expert, but what happened over the course of my career, I was really skilled at being a change agent for survivors, empowering them to heal and to make changes. So I sort of just fell into that role over and over. And then one day I decided to embrace it, even though it's a very difficult field to be in. I decided to embrace it, and then I worked on getting all my certification and evidence-based practices so I could really be an expert and thrive in my field.
When it comes to a lot of people suffer from PTSD, but it kind of PTSD kind of comes in different forms for all different peoples.
Right.
What are the common symptoms that you've seen in patients that have PTSD, and how do they show up?
Yeah. Uh, Such a loaded question. So the number one symptom I would say is sleep difficulties. Most survivors with PTSD do not sleep well. It's either hard to fall asleep or stay asleep or both. Often there's nightmares, there's hyperarousal where it's hard for them to regulate their nervous system and calm down enough to go to sleep. Also, that feeling of being on guard. They usually have high levels of anxiety, often don't feel safe. Thus, romantic relationships or relationships with anybody in their circle can be impacted because of those past traumas. There's difficulties with trust. Not only is it hard to trust others, but even trusting themselves. They worry that their intuition is off. They question their own judgment. Other symptoms include being struggling with some sort of addiction. It could be food, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, shopping, pornography, sex, gambling, and the list goes on. It could be any kind of addiction. So that's a big concern as well. And there's many, many more symptoms as well.
How do people that have these kind of addictions, what's the best way that they can overcome these addictions and kind of lower their attention span to them?
Yeah. There's a lot of controversy in my field about chicken and egg stuff. Do you treat the addiction first or the trauma first? My stance is, after considerable research, is you want to treat both at the same time. One of the most effective ways to do that is support groups, having a community that can wrap their arms around you, a safe place for you to share your stories and your experiences, and also your healing journey. So, support groups tends to be my first recommendation, unless someone's at the point where they really need rehab, that detox and rehab experience. If it's gone too far or too long, or there's a concern that you may die from like stopping drinking abruptly, you want to go through detox and rehab first.
What's been in your field of study? Some people think that there's a difference or that coaches and therapists are the same. What are some differences between the two, and how are they, and how can people really tell them apart about who they need to go to more?
Yeah. I love this question because there's a vast difference in many ways. When someone is a therapist, that means they have education in the field. They also are licensed, or they're supposed to be licensed, I should say. There are therapists practicing without a license, which is illegal. The licensing board makes sure that that therapist is getting continued education and they're up to date on research in the field of study. So there's lots of checks and balances in place for therapists. Okay. Also, therapists do what's called evidence-based practices on what research is showing is to be the state of the art treatments at that time. That's what a trauma competent therapist is going to do. Now, there are wonderful coaches, and I'm actually a coach as well. So, what's different is the coaches don't necessarily have to have the education, right? They could decide to become a coach based on their life experience, and maybe they've taken some certification courses in coaching. Coaches are really great when we're talking about certain niches, like if we're talking about transitions in life, like job coaching or life skills, or having accountability. Okay. Coaches sometimes will specialize in a topic too, like executive coaching, career or leadership coaching. So coaches are great. It's not that they don't have awesome skills to teach clients, but if you're a trauma survivor, I highly recommend making sure you're paired up with a therapist as well. It's also okay to get coaching in the different areas of your life, but if you have mental health issues, the coach may not have the education and the skills to competently treat that. So that's really important.
What are some best treatment approaches for trauma recovery, and how have they kind of been from the treatment and approaches that you've used? What have been some personally effective treatments that you have used?
So the evidence-based treatments for trauma are cognitive processing therapy, trauma-informed CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, um, personal exposure therapy, EMDR, which is the eye movement. Those are the main evidence-based practices. Now, I've been trained in all of them. Doesn't mean I love all of them. My practice, I use what's called an eclectic approach. So I take what I really enjoy about each modality and I blend them together based on what that client in front of me needs. So if I start with something and they can't tolerate it well, I'm going to pivot, right? Because my job is to not make the client worse. And sometimes when therapists are determined to stay with a certain approach, you can actually make your client worse. So I do a blended techniques and I also use somatic practices so that the client can regulate their nervous system to feel calmer. And then we'll do a little more treatment, then we'll regulate some more. So when I do that, it's called the top down and bottom up approach. The top down is the evidence-based model, and the bottom up is more nurturing, soothing skills like meditation, journaling, bodily movement, so they can process their traumas that way.
Is there a possibility and chance that survivors can have hope again?
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, I would be out of business and there'd be no point to my job. One of the biggest things I instill in my clients is hope, and part of my business, Heal, Thrive, Dream, the dream stands for setting intentions for your future, things that make you feel joyful or happy again. Like, what is it that you want for your future? Is there a trip? Is there a partner? Is there building better relationships with people? Is it exploring someplace? Is it a new business idea? So that's a huge part of what I do.
You actually have launched a podcast, and the podcast is the Heal Thrive Dream podcast. Has this been an even has this been a way for you to kind of cope with past trauma and has been conceived as kind of a um therapy for you in some way?
Maybe loosely so, because the podcast, I have guests from all different types of backgrounds. Some are healers, some are survivors, some are um, other types of entrepreneurs that are recovering from traumas as well. So I think the best way I would say that what the podcast has done for me personally is it's been just really rewarding to offer a place where people can feel not alone. Like when you listen to other people's stories, it shows you that, oh, there are other people out there that have stories similar to me. Maybe some stories are a little harder. Maybe some stories are a little easier. But what most people say to me is they don't feel alone. And also, my podcast has lots of different tips and tricks for healing. So it's a very vast and diverse ideas. And sure, I have definitely gained from hosting that. I've tried some of the things too that I've learned over the years hosting. So yes, thank you.
During your whole practice and whole years as a therapist, what's been some of the biggest lessons you've learned from clients?
Mhm. Well, one of the lessons is, I am like a guide on their journey. I don't get to follow people around to make sure they make good decisions all day. So it's really important that I empower them to tap into their own inner wisdom, to teach that they can also heal themselves. It's also been a learning lesson to teach clients they have to be their own advocate. There is nobody that's going to advocate for you like yourself. So I have clients, if they have medical issues, that's really important when they see their doctor, they're able to, fight for themselves if they need additional treatment, for if they need more support, or if they need that second or third opinion. So those are the main learning lessons.
What's the main takeaway and kind of goal that you want people that do these treatments with you or with their own personal therapist and coach? What's the main takeaways that you hope people take from it?
Yeah. Most of my clients enjoy working with me because they know I give a damn, right? Like they know that if they're struggling, that I'm really going to be genuinely compassionate about that I want them to reach out to me. A lot of therapists have really strict boundaries, and I'm not judging it. I'm judging it a little bit, meaning they can only be available at certain times where I tell my clients that they're welcome to text me whenever they're struggling and that I will get with them as soon as I can. And what's happened over the years is that clients don't abuse that, right? Especially those who've worked with me for a long time. They don't abuse it. And when they're really struggling, I feel better knowing that they see me as a safe place. So when I'm able to, I can respond and give suggestions on what they should do. So, for example, if they're having a panic attack, I can give a few suggestions. If they need a coping skill because they got in an argument with somebody, I can give them suggestions. So they don't necessarily have to wait till the next session to get relief.
The company that you and your daughter have opened up, what's been some of the or some big accomplishments and some just great things that have happened for you and for the company?
Yeah. So I have two daughters. Both of them help minimally in my business. One is a college student. He edits my blog posts and does some general editing for me. And my other daughter, she's got more of a design eye, so she's designed my physical planner, my journal. She designed the cover of that. And just when I create products with my team, I will use her eye. She's got a great eye to say, how does this look? Can you make some suggestions? So that's how my daughters are involved. They're not therapists or coaches at this point. What's been amazing about my company, we have grown and we've actually just recently opened a corporation called Heal Thrive Dream Holistic Care because I've added energy healing to my business model. And we also do holistic healing. So we're able to make suggestions and recommendations for physical healing, emotional, mental, relational, energetic, and spiritual. And so we want people to see like when we need healing, there's probably ways that it can improve all the different areas of our life. So it's like taking that holistic picture. And one of the ways I am working on this is by hosting healing summits. So 2026, we're rolling out four different summits, one a quarter. In October of this year, I'm hosting a summit on energy healing. And then we've also added healing retreats for women and also for couples who want to go on a healing journey. And we have domestic offerings as well as international offerings.
if people want to stay connected with you on this, and maybe if they have advice or need advice, um, I should say, and maybe are stuck, what advice do you have for them? And if they have questions, what's some of the best ways that they can get in contact with you or just connect with you about learning more about coaching and therapy opportunities?
Sure. So I have three links I can provide you for the show notes, but the one I have at the top of my head is my first website. It's healthrivedream.com. And there's a way to sign up for my newsletter and my free offerings. Also, people are welcome to email me for questions. It's healthrivedream@gmail.com.
Well, Karen, I appreciate you so much for coming on here and sharing this story with me, and sharing these methods, because therapy and coaching is such a huge game changer for some people, and it's always seen as a God sent from above. And it's like, um I know everyone that's I've known that's in therapy is so appreciative of it. Um and so I just have to give you a huge thank you for your work and helping clients get through tough times, and helping you, and you being a voice for them and a guide and mentor for them as well. So I appreciate you so much for coming on here and sharing this with me.
Thank you for hosting me today.
I will put all of her links in the description box below. I'll put links to her website, social media, and as well as her podcast down there. So if you would like to check any of those out, it's all easy access for you guys. And as always, I will. You can also follow me on social media as well, Instagram and TikTok at Lethal Venom Podcast, and Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Noah's Podcast. And as always, listen to Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. It's everywhere, so feel free to follow the podcast on any of those platforms to get notified when new episodes come out. Thank you again to everyone tuning in today and listening, and hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Y'all have a great rest of your day and week. Be safe, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Lethal Venom.